Karen's laugh was a weapon, sharp and ugly, slicing through the evening air like a blade nobody asked for. It wasn't just a sound, it was a performance, meant to humiliate, to remind everyone within earshot that she was above them all. The sidewalk on 4th Street was alive with the usual after-work chaos, commuters hustling, kids weaving through on skateboards, and the faint hum of traffic buzzing like a distant swarm. Karen, in her garish floral blouse stretched tight over her frame, stood like a monument to self-importance. Her arms crossed, and her lips curled into a sneer. She'd spotted her target, a man hobbling along on crutches, his steps slow and deliberate, each one a small victory over pain. His name was Marcus, though Karen didn't care to know that. To her, he was just the slow guy, a nuisance clogging up her path to the coffee shop where she'd demand a free latte for some imagined slight. "Move it, Gimpy," Karen's voice boomed, drawing eyes from passers-by. "Some of us have places to be, not a parade to hold up." Her words dripped with venom, and she punctuated them with a theatrical eye roll, as if the man's existence was a personal affront. Marcus, in his faded jacket and scuffed sneakers, didn't flinch. His jaw tightened, but he kept his eyes forward, gripping his crutches like lifelines. The truth was, Marcus wasn't just some guy on crutches. 30 minutes earlier, he'd been crossing the street when a toddler barely 3 years old darted out from behind a parked van, chasing a runaway ball. A sedan, speeding at least 20 over the limit, barreled toward the child. Without a second thought, Marcus had lunged forward, his bad leg screaming in protest, and shoved the kid out of the way. The car clipped him instead, sending him sprawling, his knee twisting into a mess of pain. The driver didn't stop. The kid's mother, sobbing, had scooped up her son and fled in a panic, too shaken to thank him. Marcus, bruised and battered, had picked himself up, grabbed his crutches from the pavement, and kept going. Heroes don't always get applause. But Karen didn't know any of this. She didn't care to. She saw weakness and pounced, her voice rising as she leaned closer to Marcus. "What's the holdup? You training for the Snail Olympics?" A few onlookers shifted uncomfortably. A woman with a grocery bag froze, her mouth half open. A teenager nearby looked up from his phone, his thumb hovering over the screen. Karen, oblivious to their stares, was in her element, feeding off the attention. To her, this was justice calling out the lazy, the useless, anyone who dared inconvenience her. Marcus stopped. He turned slowly, his eyes locking onto hers. There was no anger in his gaze, just a quiet intensity that made Karen's smirk falter for a split second. "Lady," he said, his voice low but steady, "you don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, please," Karen snapped, tossing her head back. "Spare me the sob story. If you can't walk, stay off the sidewalk." She stepped closer, her bulk looming over him, as if her size could bully him into submission. The crowd was growing now, a small ring of spectators forming. The woman with the grocery bag whispered something to the teenager, who nodded and started typing furiously on his phone. What Karen didn't see was the crumpled piece of paper that had fallen from her purse during her tirade. It was a note, scrawled in hasty marker, Karen's cruelty exposed, a hero shamed. It lay on the pavement, unnoticed by her, but catching the eye of the teenager, who snapped a quick photo. He'd been there when Marcus saved the kid. He'd seen the whole thing, the car, the dive, the aftermath. And now, watching Karen's performance, he was done staying silent. "Yo, lady," the teenager called out, stepping forward. His name was Jaden, 16 and fearless. The kind of kid who'd grown up dodging bullies like Karen. You're yelling at a guy who just saved a kid's life. Maybe shut up for once. Karen's head whipped around, her face reddening. Excuse me. Who do you think you are? You little punk. She jabbed a finger at Jaden, her voice climbing to a screech. Mind your own business. It is my business when you're harassing a hero. Jaden shot back. He held up his phone, showing the photo of the note. And this is going viral. The crowd murmured. A few people pulling out their own phones. The woman with the grocery bag, whose name was Lila, stepped forward too. She'd seen the accident as well, from across the street, and her hands were shaking with anger. He's right, Lila said, her voice firm despite the tremor. I saw what this man did. He risked his life for a child, and you're standing here mocking him. You should be ashamed. Karen's mouth opened, then closed, like a fish gasping for air. She wasn't used to pushback not like this. Her usual tactic was to yell louder, to drown out dissent with sheer volume. You people are ridiculous. She spat, her eyes darting between Marcus, Jaden, and Lila. I'm the victim here. I'm just trying to get to my coffee. And this cripple is blocking the way. The word hit like a slap. The crowd gasped, and even Karen seemed to realize she'd gone too far. Marcus's face didn't change, but his knuckles whitened around his crutches. You done? He asked quietly. Before Karen could respond, Jaden was already uploading the video he'd recorded. It was short, just 30 seconds. But it captured everything: Karen's taunts, Marcus's restraint, the note on the ground. By the time Karen noticed, it was too late. The post was live, tagged with Karen shames hero. Within minutes, it was racking up views, retweets, and comments. People were furious. Some recognized Karen from her past outbursts. She was a regular at the coffee shop, always berating baristas for slow service. Others started digging, pulling up stories of her complaints at local stores, her rants on community forums. Karen's world was unraveling, one viral post at a time. Marcus, meanwhile, just wanted to go home. He adjusted his crutches and started moving again, ignoring Karen's sputtering attempts to defend herself. You can't do this to me, she shrieked, her voice cracking. I'll sue you all. I have rights. But the crowd was dispersing now, some shaking their heads, others still filming. Lila caught up to Marcus and pressed a crumpled $10 bill into his hand. For a cab, she said softly. You shouldn't have to walk after all this. Marcus nodded, too tired to argue, and murmured a thanks. By the next morning, Karen's life was a dumpster fire. The video had spread across platforms, picked up by local news blogs and even a national outlet. Her name was trending, and not in a good way. Her employer, a small accounting firm, issued a statement distancing themselves from her unacceptable behavior. By noon, she was out of a job. Her landlord, flooded with complaints from tenants who'd seen the video, gave her a 30-day notice to vacate. Even the coffee shop banned her, taping a sign to the door that read, "No service for Karen S." Karen sat in her apartment, scrolling through the hate comments, her hands trembling. She'd always thought she was untouchable, that her loudness, her entitlement, made her invincible. But now, the world had turned on her. She tried to post a defense, a rambling apology that blamed stress and misunderstandings. But it only fueled the fire. The internet didn't forgive. and neither did the people she'd spent years belittling. Marcus, on the other hand, became a quiet legend. The kid's mother, after seeing the viral post, tracked him down to thank him, sobbing as she hugged him. A local charity started a fundraiser for his medical bills, and the donations poured in. He didn't want the attention, but he couldn't deny the warmth it brought, a reminder that not everyone was like Karen. In the end, Karen's cruelty was her undoing. She'd mocked a man for his weakness, not knowing his strength. And while Marcus walked away, scarred but unbroken, Karen was left to face the wreckage of her own making. The world had seen her for what she was, and it wasn't pretty. The end.